There was once a man named Elric, quiet, patient, and observant to a fault. He lived in a small valley town where the river met the hills, a place where words carried farther than deeds. People there believed the loudest voice commanded the room. But Elric knew better. He watched, listened, and learned. While others argued for dominance, he studied the patterns of silence. He noticed how men revealed their fears not through confession but through their anger. He noticed how pride spoke louder than truth, and how the need to be right often drowned out the need to be wise. One afternoon, during a council dispute, the town's merchants shouted about taxes, trade, and fairness. Elric stood in the corner, arms folded, eyes still. He said nothing. Eventually, their voices softened. Then they turned to him and said, "Elric, what do you think?" He waited before replying, not out of arrogance, but purpose. And then he asked, "What do you truly want?" That single question changed the tone of the room. Because when a man is asked what he wants, his mask begins to fall. He must look inward, and that frightens most people. From that day, Elric's silence became a mirror. People saw themselves reflected in it. They began to seek his guidance, not because he was powerful, but because he was calm. He never demanded respect. He earned it by needing nothing from anyone. Over time, he discovered a quiet truth. Control is never taken by force. It's surrendered through emotion. Those who tried to command others with threats often ruled for a moment, and fell the next. But those who ruled the heart with understanding rarely had to raise their voice. Elric began to test this principle. When men lied, he didn't confront them. He simply asked questions that forced them to reveal more. When they shouted, he lowered his tone. When they insulted him, he smiled. Soon, the powerful in town grew uncomfortable. They feared him, not because of what he said, but because he didn't react. They couldn't read him. And what cannot be read cannot be controlled. He became a riddle in human form, a shadow that shaped outcomes without ever stepping forward. When a young apprentice came to him seeking wisdom, Elric welcomed him with quiet hospitality. Days turned into months, and the boy grew impatient with his master's stillness. "Why do you never argue?" he asked. "Why do you let people insult you and walk away?" Elric looked up from his cup of tea and said, "If a dog barks at the moon does not bark back." The boy frowned, unsatisfied. "But how do you control people?" Elric smiled faintly. "I don't. I simply understand them better than they understand themselves." He continued, "People reveal their weakness through what they defend. A man who guards his ego will betray his peace. A man who guards his silence will command the room." Years passed. Elric's hair turned silver, his steps slower, but his presence stronger. When disputes arose, the town still turned to him. Not for orders, but for clarity. He had become what every man secretly wishes to be, a center of gravity in a world spinning with noise. Then one day, Elric disappeared. No farewell, no letter, just gone, as quietly as he had lived. Weeks later, the townsfolk noticed something strange. Arguments ended faster. Voices grew softer. And even those who'd mocked his patience now quoted his questions. In their silence, his presence lived on. Years later, a monument was built for him, a simple stone bench beneath the old oak tree where he once sat a day. No name, no plaque, only the quiet. And if you sat there long enough, you could almost hear him say, "The moment you stop needing control, you begin to have it." In the end, Elric's life was a lesson not in dominance but in understanding. Control is not about bending others to your will. It's about standing so still that the world bends around you.